If you have ever felt like someone keeps you close but never fully chooses you, this episode is for you. They do not disappear completely. They do not commit completely. They give you just enough attention to keep you emotionally bonded, and then they pull back right when you start to feel safe. And if you are anxious, that pattern can feel like you are slowly losing your mind, because your body feels the bond, but your life never becomes stable. So here's the promise of this episode. I'm going to explain why avoidant attachment gives you just enough to keep you, why it feels addictive, how to tell whether it is fear with real capacity or crumbs as a lifestyle, and the one calm standard that forces reality without you chasing. If you stay until the end, you will stop taking crumbs personally, and you will start reading the pattern accurately, which means you will stop rewarding it with your nervous system. Let's name the pattern in a way your body will recognize instantly. This is intermittent reinforcement. It is the most addictive relationship structure there is, because you never get full safety, and you never get full loss. You get a constant almost, and the human brain does not let go of almost. It tries to complete it. It tries to earn it. It tries to solve it. So the avoidant gives you warmth. You bond, then they withdraw. You panic, then they return. You feel relief, and that relief is mistaken for love. But relief is not love. Relief is your nervous system coming out of threat. And when you confuse relief with love, you start bonding to the person who created the threat and then removed it. That is how people lose years. Now, I want to slow this down because this is where your brain gets hijacked. The reason crumbs work is not because you are weak. It is because your nervous system is doing what it is designed to do. When connection is inconsistent, your brain starts treating the person like a variable you must solve. The uncertainty creates focus. The focus creates rumination. The rumination creates attachment. And then the rare moments of warmth land like a reward. That reward is not just emotional, it is chemical. Your body shifts from threat to relief, and relief becomes the drug. So when you say, "I cannot stop thinking about them," what you are often describing is not love. It is a nervous system loop that is trained by unpredictability. And unpredictability feels like intensity, which is why crumbs can feel more powerful than stable love. Stable love is calm. Crumbs are spikes. Spikes feel like meaning. Spikes feel like destiny. Spikes feel like finally. But finally is not a relationship. Finally is a nervous system coming down from panic. And this is why I want you to stop asking, "Do they care?" and start asking, "What structure am I in?" Because structure is what changes your life. Now, let me make the crumb pattern even clearer by naming the most common microscripts avoidants use to keep you hooked without choosing you. They say things that keep the door open, but never close it. They say, "I miss you, but I am overwhelmed." They say, "I am not ready, but I do not want to lose you." They say, "You are special, but I need space." They say, "I am not seeing anyone else, but I do not want labels." They say, "I am just dealing with a lot," but they never deal with it. And none of those sentences are automatically evil. The problem is when they become permanent. A temporary limitation with forward motion is human. A permanent limitation with no forward motion is a lifestyle. Now, let's take the 5 types of just enough and make them real, because people stay stuck when they keep it abstract. The message crumb is when they keep contact alive, but keep intimacy and commitment out of reach. They do not plan, they do not progress, but they keep you mentally occupied. They text you late, They text you when you are quiet. They text you when you are starting to move on. And your brain mistakes contact for connection. The intimacy crumb is when they give you one deep night, one vulnerable confession, one moment of softness, and then they disappear. You replay the softness like it was the truth, and you treat the disappearance like a temporary glitch. The sex crumb is when your body bonds and their body bonds in the moment, but afterward, their nervous system gets scared of what the closeness implied. So they detach, and you start chasing the bonded version like it is the real one. But both versions are real. The bonded version is real, and the detached version is real. The only question is, which version is stable enough to build with? The future crumb is when they talk in maybes. They talk about trips and plans and someday, but you never get consistent present behavior. Future talk can feel like commitment, but future talk without present consistency is just anesthesia. It keeps you numb to what is happening now. And the repair crumb is when they apologize or explain in a way that gives you hope, but they do not change behavior. An explanation can feel like intimacy, but an explanation without change is just a story. So here is the stabilizing truth. If the same pain keeps repeating, you are not in a misunderstanding. You are in a pattern. Now, this is where anxious attachment gets caught. Anxious attachment is organized around safety through closeness and clarity. So when you get a crumb, your system says, okay, we are safe again. Then when they pull away, your system says, danger. And the anxious mind tries to prevent danger by doing work. You send the perfect text. You become more patient. You become more understanding. You become more low maintenance. You try to be the exception. And this is how you slowly become someone who is always adjusting to preserve a connection that is never choosing you. The most painful part is that you start calling that love, when it is actually survival. Now, I want to give you a clean distinction that will keep you from wasting years. There is a difference between slow building and crumb feeding. Slow building still has direction. It has small forward motion. It has increasing integration. It has consistency that grows, not consistency in bursts. Crumb feeding has resets. You get close, they pull away. They return, you reset your hope, you act like nothing happened, and you pay for it again later. So, if you want to know what you are in, do not look at their best moments. Look at the full cycle. The full cycle is the truth. Now, before we go deeper, I want to say something that is both compassionate and brutally clarifying. Many avoidants are not consciously trying to hurt you, but the structure they create can still be damaging. Intent does not erase impact, and you do not need someone to be a villain for you to be allowed to leave. So, why do avoidants give you just enough to keep you? The first reason is that avoidant attachment is organized around autonomy as safety. That means their nervous system feels safe when they believe they have space, options, and exit routes. Closeness can feel good, but closeness becomes threatening when it implies expectation, permanence, or responsibility. So they learn to manage closeness by controlling distance. They pull back, they delay, they stay vague, they avoid the label, they avoid future talk, they avoid repair conversations, and that distance becomes their regulator. It is how they keep their system calm. But here's the problem. They also get lonely. They also want connection. They also want comfort. They also want intimacy. They also want the benefits of being loved. So they create a relationship structure where they can access closeness when they want it and withdraw when it becomes too real. just enough to keep you, not enough to trap them. The second reason is nervous system regulation through proximity. Some avoidants use relationships like a thermostat. When they feel lonely, they move closer. When they feel overwhelmed, they move away. They are not necessarily calculating, but they are regulating. And if you are anxious, you become the regulator. Your attention soothes them. Your body soothes them. Your affection soothes them. Your availability soothes them. And then, when they feel calm again, they do not need as much, so they withdraw. That is why it can feel like they only want you when you are pulling away. The third reason is ego regulation. Some avoidants are not only avoidant, they are also insecure. They crave validation. They crave being wanted without being accountable. So they keep you close enough to feel chosen without having to choose you back. They want to be desired, but they do not want the weight of responsibility. The fourth reason is fear of failure. This is more subtle. For many avoidants, committing means risking disappointing you. It means risking being seen. It means risking not being enough. So they avoid the container where expectations become real. They keep it undefined. Undefined relationships are a way to avoid being judged. If there is no label, there is no failure. If there is no agreement, they can always say, "You assumed." That protects them, but it hurts you. The fifth reason is that they want to be the good person. Some avoidants do not want to be the villain who leaves. They want to feel kind. So they stay in proximity and tell themselves they are being gentle. But what they are really doing is outsourcing the ending to you. They keep the comfort and avoid responsibility. And they wait for you to get tired enough to leave so they can say, "It just did not work." That is why you feel crazy, because you are waiting for them to do the honest thing, and they are waiting for you to do the painful thing. Now, here is the most important distinction in this episode, because it is the difference between leaving and building. There is an avoidant who has fear but has capacity, and there is an avoidant who is using crumbs as a lifestyle. Fear with capacity looks like this. They may move slowly, but they move forward. They may need space, but they communicate it. They may dislike labels, but they offer clarity in another form, like exclusivity, consistency, future plans, and repair. They do not punish you for standards. They do not deny reality. They do not make you feel embarrassing for wanting to know where you stand. Crumbs as a lifestyle looks like this. Every time you ask for clarity, they shut down, disappear, get defensive, or give you vague promises that never turn into behavior. They keep your access high and your security low. They accept partner-level benefits without partner-level agreement. They want you close, but not close enough to require them to show up. Now, I want to separate two truths that people keep mixing up, because this is where people lose years. The first truth is that avoidance can have real feelings inside a crumb structure. The second truth is that feelings are not the same as capacity. People sense real feeling, and they assume feeling should lead to commitment. But commitment is not a feeling. Commitment is an ability. Commitment is tolerating responsibility, tolerating repair, tolerating the reality that another person's emotional world matters. Many avoidants can feel deeply and still avoid the container that makes you safe. So if you are anxious, the goal is not to prove they feel. The goal is to see if they can choose you consistently, because wanting is not choosing. Now, what does choosing look like in this context? Choosing looks like consistency that reduces uncertainty. Choosing looks like clarity that matches behavior. Choosing looks like repair when there is distance. Choosing looks like forward motion over time. That is it. And here is the part that might sting, but it will free you. Texting is not choosing. Sex is not choosing. Returning is not choosing. All three can exist in a structure where you are still not being chosen. The only proof of commitment is consistent behavior over time that reduces uncertainty and includes repair when there is distance. That is it. Now, this is where most people either lose their power or they become cold. So listen carefully. When you stop chasing, an avoidant who has been using you as a regulator often panics. They feel the drop in attention. They feel the loss of access. They feel the possibility that the door might close. And that panic can look like love. They suddenly become warm. They suddenly reach out. They suddenly want to see you. They suddenly say the right thing. But if someone only values you when they feel you slipping away, they are not responding to love. They are responding to threatened access. Love does not require threat to show up. Love shows up through steady choice. So what do you do in that moment without becoming cold? Warmth without collapse. You respond. You do not punish. You do not ignore. You simply do not return to overfunctioning. You do not return to constant availability. You do not return to emotional labor that is not being reciprocated. You do not reward panic with instant full access. Because if you do, you teach their nervous system that crumbs work. You teach them that they can disappear, return, and still receive the full relationship. So instead, you let consistency rebuild trust. You let behavior prove itself. You let time reveal capacity. And this is where I want to give you a simple structure so your anxious mind stops improvising. In the first day after they suddenly return, you stay calm and warm, but you keep your center. In the first week, you watch whether the warmth becomes consistency. In the second week, you watch whether they can tolerate clarity without punishing you. If the return is real, you will see forward motion. If the return is just a grab, you will see the old cycle trying to come back. Now I want to give you the exact calm sentence that ends the loop without drama. I like you, and I enjoy what we have. I am not asking for intensity. I am asking for clarity and consistency that matches how we are acting. I am not available for partner-level closeness without being on the same page. If you are not ready, I respect it, but I will step back. That sentence is the line between you and crumbs. It does not beg. It does not threaten. It does not attack. It simply names reality and protects your nervous system. Now, let's talk about the anxious avoidant loop after crumbs, because this is where the whole channel exists. The anxious partner feels the shift and tries to restore closeness fast. The avoidant partner feels the reach and tries to restore distance fast. Both are convinced the other is the problem, and crumbs become the flashpoint because crumbs amplify the attachment system. If you are anxious, you have to learn this sentence until it becomes muscle memory. Closeness is not secured by pursuit. Closeness is secured by reciprocity. If they want you, they will move toward you. Your job is to create the conditions where reciprocity is possible, not to manufacture it. Now, let's address the scariest part. Sometimes the avoidant comes back after distance with intensity. They miss you. They feel lonely. They want the dopamine. They want the closeness again. They return. You feel relief. You bond deeper. Then they distance again. That is the cycle. If you live in that cycle, you become hypervigilant. You lose your center, and you start confusing anxiety for love. Love is not the feeling of finally getting a text after silence. Love is steadiness. So, if you want to break the cycle, you need one rule. Do not reward distance with instant access. If they disappear and return, you do not punish, but you also do not collapse. You respond warmly and slowly. You let consistency rebuild trust before you give deep access again. That is how you teach your nervous system that you are safe with you. And that is how you test whether they can actually show up or whether they only want the rush. Now, I want to give you the most calming reality check. In secure dynamics, clarity does not create a crisis. It creates a deeper exhale. A secure person might still move slowly, but they do not punish you for clarity. They do not deny reality. They do not make you feel embarrassing for wanting to know where you stand. They might say, "I want to keep building. I want to be exclusive. I am not ready for big steps yet, but I am choosing you." That sentence is what your nervous system needs. Choosing. Not vibes, not moments, not chemistry. Choosing. So, if your clarity request triggers a collapse, the collapse is data. It tells you the container they want is not a relationship. It is flexible access. And you are allowed to opt out. Now, I want to speak to the avoidant listener for a moment. Because some avoidants watch this channel and genuinely want to understand themselves. If you give someone just enough to keep them, you might tell yourself you are being gentle. But understand what you are teaching. You are teaching the other person that intimacy equals uncertainty. You are teaching them that closeness can be punished with withdrawal. You are teaching them to monitor you instead of trust you. If you care, you do not need a grand commitment. You need one small repair, one sentence that signals choice, one consistent behavior that reduces uncertainty. If you feel the urge to withdraw after closeness, send a simple message that keeps warmth. "I had a great time. I am a little overwhelmed today, but I like you." That is not a contract. That is humanity, and it prevents your partner from spiraling. Now, let's close with a calm but powerful framework you can carry. When someone gives you just enough to keep you, you are not powerless. You do not chase clarity. You set a standard once, calmly, and you observe behavior. If they cannot meet the standard, you step back and remove partner access, not to punish, but to protect. And if they come toward you with consistency and repair, you allow the relationship to grow. If they do not, you do not stay in limbo, hoping it becomes something. You leave with dignity, and you let your nervous system recover. Because the right person will not make you argue for reality. The right person will not need you to shrink your needs so they can stay comfortable. The right person can handle the sentence, "I am not available for partner-level closeness," without being on the same page. And if they cannot handle that sentence, they are not ready to hold your heart. Welcome to PsychBond. You're safe here.